oh, I feel like a 70s babe in this, or 60s, 70s. Yes. Hi gang, welcome to today's video, and this was actually a video that was requested a few times when I did my Insta stories thing where I said, is there anything I haven't made on YouTube that you would love to see me do? And yeah, a few of you requested a how I met my boyfriend story time, so that's why I'm here. Let's get comfy. So if you don't know, I've been with my boyfriend actually this year half of our lives, which is insane. Yeah, so this year we are both 28. My boyfriend's already turned 28, but I'll be turning 28 this year. And yeah, we've been together since we were 14, which is just crazy. So this is how we met, I guess. So I'll set the scene. It was, oh, it would have been 2004. Yes, 2004. God, it's so long ago now. I'm like, what? It was year 9 in secondary school. I was 13, and in school I was popular within my group of friends, and I went through a couple of different groups of friends before I like really found like my tribe, and then later in school we drifted apart and I ended up with new groups of friends. I had a weird time in school. Like, I look back on it and think I had like a great time, and think that it was so much fun and all this, but actually really it was pretty awful. Our school was horrendous. Like, absolutely horrendous. It wasn't when we joined, like when we joined it was like the top school in the area, which is hence why our parents sent us there, and then it got a new headmaster when I was in like year 7, year 8, and then it got another new headmaster, and from that new headmaster it just went downhill from there. And basically it was just really rife with bullying, fights. There was a physical fight at our school every single day, which I grew up thinking was completely normal until I genuinely didn't know that wasn't normal until I went to university. And when we were all like talking about ourselves and like trying to get to know each other, me and my housemates, because I lived in a house of 8 of us, listening to their school experiences and how they reacted to me being like, oh yeah, and in this fight this girl got her head slammed up against the wall and like broke her whole face and there's blood everywhere, you know, and that was just like normal because it was at our school. Like, I'm laughing, it's not funny, but like it's just insane that was what I thought was normal, and it was in a really expensive, lovely area, but the school was just trash. And yeah, it got really bad, and so, and I got in a lot of fights and a lot of arguments, and yeah, like my group of friends that I had at the time when I met Ben were like the best friends I had the whole way through school. We just all didn't last together for various different reasons. It's really hard those years in from like when you're 11 to you're 18, if you stay on till 6th form, but 16 even, you change so much. But the friends that I had when I met Ben were like the best group of friends I had the whole way through school. Now that I'm older and I look back, I know that for absolute definite. It's really actually hard for me to talk about the word bullying, but and I never ever did until I went to therapy, and they in the assessment want to ask you about your childhood, and I was just like, I had the best childhood ever, and they were like, how was school? And I was like, yeah, it was great, you know, got in fights but whatever, always defended myself and like moved on. And they were like, no, we need to like address that. And I like talked about some of my experiences, and they were like, you were really horrifically bullied. But because I always fought back, I didn't think of it as bullying. I think of bullying as like a bully and a victim, and I never felt like a victim because I always fought back. And that sounds so dramatic, but my school was literally like dog eat dog, fight to survive type crap. It just really was. And this is important because it goes a lot into like how we met and what happened when we met. But yeah, it was just like a really violent, awful situation at my school. And but I had my little group of friends, and we were all so close. That's the other thing as well, is that group of friends was like the closest friends I had through school. Any friends I had before and after that, it was very like superficial friendships. It weren't really, there weren't a lot of meaning there. Do you know what I mean? You have some friends who like you'll tell absolutely everything and anything to, and you know 100% will have your back, and then you have other friends that are just not very good friends, and that's the way it was in my school. Yeah, so I definitely wasn't one of the popular kids, and I do this because they weren't ever really popular. Like when I think back, I'm like, who liked them? Here we are, we're year 9. I have my little group of friends, love and life. I'd been in the same form for the whole 3 years, 7, 8 and 9, which a lot of people didn't. A lot of people moved forms. They moved people form groups a lot because of like misbehaving and stuff like that. And I just never got moved the entire time, and not because I was a good girl. I don't know why I didn't get moved. A lot of my friends got moved away from me, which is really sad, but I never got moved. So I was in the same form for the 3 years, and on the first day of school back, it was in 2004, in year 9, we just started year 9, first day, and I was like, ooh, I want to sneak in and look at this seating register, the seating plan, who am I sat next to, because you'd be sat next to that person for the whole year, so that could like really ruin your year, because every morning and every end of the school day you'd be sat next to that person, and then also for a couple of hours a week for PGSE, which was literally useless. But it really made a difference to your year, so I was like, who am I sat next to, who am I sat next to, knowing full well we're going to be none of my like close friends, but you know, there's other people you're fine with sitting next to, and there's other people you definitely don't want to be sat next to. So I snuck in with a couple of my mates and like got a quick look before my teacher came in, and then like ran off. And I went out to my friends and was like, oh, there's a new boy on the register. Actually, there was a few new people in our group, but I was like, there's a new boy and he is sat next to me. I was like, this is meant to be, which is so funny because like now I really do think it was meant to be, but like I literally said to my friends, this is meant to be. I call first dibs. If he sat next to me, he's mine. Like, don't try it, because I didn't know who he was. That's the other thing, is that my school was really big. So in each year you had, oh, I'm trying to think now, six or 9, no, it must have been 6 form groups, and each form group had 30 or more kids in it. So like, and you were split, so they wouldn't put like the whole year on one end of the school. There'd be 3 on one end of the school and 3 form groups down the other end of the school. Now this new boy was Ben, and I'd never seen his name before, because if you're not in the form group with them, or in that 3, because sometimes you do classes where you get meshed, but you'd only get meshed with those 3, you very rarely came across those other people like in the other half of your year, and if you did, it would just like be like passing. It weren't, I genuinely hadn't heard of his name, so I actually thought he was brand new, and one of my friends said, oh no, he's not new, but yeah, he's definitely new down this end like of the school, like he's always been down the other end, but he's definitely not new. And I think he's friends with people you don't like, and I was like, I don't care, he's mine, I'm gonna make him mine. I had never up until this point had a like serious boyfriend. Obviously I was 13 when I met him, but even boyfriends that I had, I didn't want to hold their hand. I didn't really want to be seen around like as to be their girlfriend, so nothing was ever like, I loved boys and flirting with boys, but none of them I took serious enough. Like I was just like, you don't interest me enough, like you don't keep me on my toes, I don't find you funny enough. It was just like meh, like none of them was I really like crazy about until Ben. And So I was just like, look, new boy, he sat next to me, it's meant to be, he's mine, I get first dibs. If I don't want him, you can all fight for him, but I'm getting first dibs. And we were all like laughing about it. And so he had been moved into my form for bad behaviour. Shock. He was not good in school. I was not good in school, but in a very different way. Like, Ben would outwardly misbehave in class and get kicked out a lot, and I was much more clever about it, and I could easily talk my way out of detentions and stuff, because I got really good grades and I actually did work hard, whereas Ben got good grades because he's smart, but he didn't really work hard, and he didn't bother with homework and stuff, so I could often wiggle my way out of situations and he couldn't. But he himself had been in a fair few fights at school, and in fact I don't know anyone that went to my school that didn't get in a fight at some point. And yeah, I just think it was he'd just been a bad boy and got sent into our form. So I remember all of it like it was yesterday. So I go in, he sat down, and we were right over, like, you come in the door here and we were right over that side of the room, second table from the front and next to the window, which I loved having a window seat. I often asked my form tutor, please give me a window seat, mostly just so I could like stare out of it when I got bored and watch people going by. But yeah, I walked over and I remember like looking him up and down, trying to assess him from behind, see what he's like, do I fancy him, is he alright, what's he like, eyeing him up, is he going to be fun. How weird that I even remember our exact seats, but he was just like not looking up, he was like hunched over writing something, and I walked over and I remember I pulled out my seat and like put my bag down, and he just didn't look up, and I was getting more and more agitated, like, why is this boy not looking up at me, how rude, like yeah, he didn't look up at me, and I was like, excuse me, the love of your life is here. No, I didn't. I put my bag down and then I sat down and I got a pen out and I started writing, and there was a thing you had to fill out at the beginning of the form, I can't remember what it was, at the beginning of the school year, in your form class, and he just mumbled to me under his breath, like, so didn't even care to look at me, it was so rude. I was like, do you have a pen? And I was like, yeah, because I also always went with like a full set of like fluffy pens, and like I love new stationery at the start of the new year. Of course I had pens, Ben. So I reached down and was like getting one, and he was like, oh, take your time, under his breath, and I was like, who is this boy? Who does he think he is? I was just like, excuse me? And he was like, oh, take your time, you're taking forever. And I was like, I'm doing you a favour. And like, oh, and then still reach for the pen. I should have just been like, no, but I still reached for the pen. And at that point, the boy that was sitting in front of us, who like I was all right with, but also was actually like fairly friendly with Ben, turned round and was like laughing and was like, oh, so I see you two are best friends. And I just kind of rolled my eyes, and Ben laughed, and I was like, oh, he thinks it's funny, does he? Are we playing fun and games, Benjamin? And then we just got on with our work. But like, when we had our, I remember thinking he smells good, and I remember thinking, yeah, I could fancy him. But it just felt like, it's so weird, but it just felt right, even though he was being really rude to me. And but it was in like a playful way, and I think the fact that he was like not really paying me the attention that I wanted was like, you gonna notice me, boy, you're gonna notice me. And then yeah, just through like having classes together and stuff, I fairly quickly became infatuated with him. I remember just saying to my friends, oh, I'm in love with him. I just feel like I'm in love with him. I wanted to be around him all the time. He really made me laugh, like laugh out loud. He was smart and witty and really didn't give a shit who like who said what about him or who thought what about him, which I also loved, because I was very much like that as well, and in school you don't see a lot of that. But like if me and him were being silly and I don't know, his guy friends would like take the piss, he just wouldn't care. He'd just be like, he'd just completely ignore them and we'd carry on having fun. It was just stuff like that, and I was just like, yeah, I'm like obsessed with this boy. And he was really standoffish, like really not standoffish. We were definitely friends, but there weren't that like real flirtiness I had with a lot of my other guy friends at that age, that were in our like friendship group. So it kind of like evolved. Friendship group I had at the time was like my close little knit group, but then there was like a boy group in our same form, and we kind of all meshed at the weekends. Like we'd all go to the cinema, we'd all go out for lunch or go over the field or do whatever teenagers do. We all used to meet up as one big group, and Ben kind of became a part of that because he made friends with the guys I was friends with, which was obviously I loved. So we ended up spending more and more time together like outside of school, and yeah, like the other guys would be really flirty with me and like hug me and stuff, and he wouldn't, and I'd be always like, is he just not into me? Like am I into him and he's not into me? This has never happened before. I just was like, this is just weird, like I'm not getting that kind of vibe from him. He now says that he was like obsessed with me as well from the very beginning, but just that he thought I wouldn't really be interested, that I just kind of was like having fun flirting with all the guys. I kind of really hoped to spend time with him on my own, but knew my parents wouldn't let me at 13 go out just with a boy on my own, and so he lived near my best friend at the time. So I went round hers and she was like, I know what we'll do, we'll get on MSN and we'll message him and we'll be like, let's meet up. And then she was like, obviously you don't care about me being there. And I was like, no, it's really the other boys that I don't want to be there. So we arranged this, and then we ended up doing it fairly frequently, and having that time with him away from his friends and just like me and my best friend got closer and closer. I just was like utterly besotted with him, and actually then he started being really affectionate, like hugging me to say hello and goodbye, and complimenting me, and I was like, okay. Like even now it just, oh, it's so cute. Yeah, and then it got to this like peak. Spoke on MSN one night after school. We'd been doing it loads, like chatting on MSN, and I don't know how we got there, but I was like, I really like you, and he was like, I really like you too, and I was like, no, I really like you. Like I really like you, like and then sent like a heart emoji, you, and he was like, I don't know what that means, like just messing with me, I don't know what that means, you're gonna have to say it, spell it out. And so I put, I will, I don't care, I love you. And he was like, I love you too. And I was like, oh my god, we weren't even like anything at this point, but we'd already told each other we loved each other. And it had been like a year, like from the start. This was all from the start of the school year, then we were coming to the end of the school year, so it'd been like a year that we'd been really close friends, and it had been slowly gradually building up, and it was really beautiful. Like it really just blossomed naturally and was so much fun. And yeah, then we went on this school trip, and everyone got hyped for school trips, didn't they? And I remember I don't know why, they'd given us pens to like fill something out, and everyone started writing on each other because that's just stupid teenagers at school. And so I said to Ben, I'll write it on you, and he was like, no you won't, you don't want anyone to know. He still had this thing that I like I wouldn't want people to know, or like I thought I could do better than him or something, I don't know, and I thought he was the world, so that wasn't the case at all. So I wrote on the back of his neck, I love you, and he was like, that's not fair, I can't read it. And one of his friends went, she wrote, I love you. And by this point all of our friends I think kind of knew what was going on. And yeah, he then wrote it on my arm, and I was just like, ah, all day, and we sat on the bus on the way home together, and he was like, yeah, but you wouldn't want to admit it in front of people. He kept wanting like confirmation. He really didn't think I'd like want to be like a public, like out in school boyfriend and girlfriend like a lot of people were. He didn't think I would want to do that with him, and that's like all I wanted. So I said, yeah, I will. I said, I love you. And he goes, no, you got to say it louder. We were just mucking around. I ended up like screaming on the bus, I love Ben. And people were just like ignoring us because they were all into their own shit. Because we held hands on the bus on the way home from school, just back to school. And the next day, I remember this so vividly. We were in ICT, so like computer lessons, and everyone was like being really weird and was like not talking to me. Like our whole friendship group, which was like half of our form at this point, was like not talking to me and like being really weird and like whispering. And I was like, well, let me in on the joke for God's sake. And no one would, so I just got on with my stuff. But it was really annoying me. I was like, well, what's going on? And then they all kept going off and like giggling and then looking over at me, and I was like, I don't understand. And then I remember my boy best friend came over to me, who was like not from their group. He like, we'd been childhood friends, came over to me and was like, do you like Ben? And I was like, yeah, you know I do. Like, what? And he was like, okay. And then he went over and I was like, what is going on? And do you know what? I genuinely believed they were going to tell me that Ben was in love with my best friend, my girl best friend, or that they were like going to be together, that he'd asked her out. They were all being so shady, and then because we'd spent so much time as a three, I was like, oh my god, what if I've got it all wrong and he doesn't actually like me and he likes my friend? Oh my god, that'll be awful. I'll be heartbroken. It'll be so awkward. Where my head was going. And then it was break time, and then after break time was a history lesson. The whole way through break time, everyone wouldn't talk to me about what it was, and it was just like getting on my nerves. And I remember saying to my boy best friend, I was like, can you tell me if he's gonna tell me that he's with her, because I'm gonna be like so embarrassed and upset and like really, really sad. And he was like, no, that's not it. And I was like, you're all getting on my nerves, to be honest. We went into history, which was a great class, and I loved it. Not because I liked history, because I don't, but because I was sat directly opposite him across the room. My camera died, so I'm back. So I think I remember where I was in the story, if you're still watching. Yeah, history class, I was sat directly opposite Ben, and so I loved that class. Originally she had actually sat us next to each other, but it was us two and my best friend and then these few other kids, and we just were like so ruckus. We kept just doing like, we were like, every time the teacher says this word, let's do a Mexican wave, just stupid crap like that. So we got all split up onto different tables around the room, but I was directly opposite Ben. So I used to spend all my time doing that. And we were in that class and he was sitting opposite me, and I just remember being a bit stroppy, I think, just a bit like, oh my god, he loves my best friend. And he was like trying to get my attention, like mount, obviously, because the teacher was right here as well. We were the front tables, but we were opposite. And yeah, he was trying to mouth to me, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I love you. And I was like, I love you too. Like, what's going on? And then I think he showed me his pencil and was like go up to the pencil sharpener, because the pencil sharpener was like over to one side of the classroom, like near the back, and you could like chat there. So he got up, and then I got up, and then one of our mutual friends got up. It's like, I wanted to ask you something, and he was being really like stuttery and worried, and like he'd never been like that around me. So I was like, what is going on? Like, I honestly still to that point thought he's going to ask me if it's okay if he asks my friend out, like that's what's going to happen. Our friend came over and was just like, oh, I'm so sick of this. And he was like, Jess, do you want to go out with Ben? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, Ben, do you want to go out with Jess? And Ben was like, yeah. And he was like, well, there you go, you're a couple, congrats, your boyfriend and girlfriend, and walked off. And like a few of our friends in the classroom were laughing, and Ben was like, are you sure you didn't have to say yes just because he said it? Like, I wanted to ask you, I just didn't know how, but I want you to be my girlfriend. And I was like, absolutely yes, 100 times yes. So yeah, we were officially a couple at 14, and I was just smitten. It was like my first time where I'd hold his hand, and we actually went on like dates. Obviously we were like 14, but we went to like the cinema, just the two of us, and to dinner, and we'd just go out at the weekend and like go shopping or whatever. It was just really lovely, and really the first time we spent proper time together, obviously alone, because up until that point, anytime we were meeting up, all of our mutual friends were like, oh, I'm coming, and it was like, oh, like, how did you even hear about it? We wanted to be alone, but also my parents weren't having it. We just loved each other, and it came up to like breaking up for summer holidays, and I remember everyone at our school was like, they're not going to last the 6-week holiday, like they'll break up in summer and then we'll come back and it'll be like awkward for our group, and obviously they were wrong. We were just obsessed with each other. We spent the whole summer together, and yeah, so it's been 14 years, which is madness. So we went through school, and then it was hard because we got together when we were 14, and then at 16 I stayed on to do sixth form in the same school, but Ben left to go to college. So we'd gone from like for 2 years seeing each other every single day at school. We spent every lunchtime together. We were best friends as well, and we still are. We both always have said there's no one we'd rather spend time with than each other, and it was a real shock to the system then. And then we spent every weekend together as well, and then all of a sudden he weren't there and I was at the school without him. It was weird, but then there was the whole, you won't last whilst Ben's at college. And we did, but then I was going away to university, and I was going, I was moving like 80 miles away from home or something, and everyone was like, well, you won't last through uni, there's no way, she'll find someone else, and obviously I did not. And Ben, we really made an effort. Like Ben, it just by complete fluke got a new job, and the apprenticeship scheme was nearer to my uni than back home, so then we were actually not that far from each other, and he used to get the train to me every single weekend at uni, and then as soon as he could drive, he drove every single weekend to see me as well. We rarely missed a weekend together whilst I was at university. So we lasted all through 3 years of university, and then when I left uni I moved in with him and his mum, and we were saving because we've always wanted to buy a place. And then we've moved from house to house to house to house, and we've gone on holidays, and now we own a home together, and we have 2 cats together that we adopted, and we've just been through so much, and like we've both experienced a lot of loss in that time, but I think the reason that we've lasted so long and through all of that is because we let each other change. Like you can't be the same when you're 14 and when you're 28. Like something's wrong if you are. Like you need to grow as a person, and stuff will change you, and we grow together, and we allow each other to flourish and to change, and we give each other freedom and space, but we also always choose each other. We will forever choose each other. Like we are best friends, and we are still obsessed with each other, and he still makes me laugh out loud. Like I don't know that there's ever a day where we don't end up crying with laughter about something, and it's just stupid stuff, but it's just the way we are. And it's funny because a lot of people in my life don't meet him straight away, because just of the circumstances. Like unless you were my housemates at uni, a lot of my uni friends that weren't my housemates didn't meet him for ages, because we were spending time together at the weekends and we didn't bump into you. Do you know what I mean? But like, so a lot of people have gone a long time being my friend and not knowing him, and then when they finally meet him, it's always like a, oh my god, you two are just like meant for each other. Like it just like works. You just fit together, and it's so true, we do. And I truly believe that we're soulmates, and I am a hopeless romantic, but I do. And yeah, we want to get married, we want to have kids, the whole 9 yards. We want to be together forever. We're in this for the long haul. clearly. And that is how we met. We met at school, and it was a very sweet, innocent, we genuinely fell in love. Like, we were best friends and then we fell in love, and it was all so pure. It just was. I'm sorry if you don't like sobby stuff, but it just was. And like, yeah, still going strong. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't know how long it's going to be. I feel like I've talked for about 2 hours. But I didn't want to just be like, hi, this is my story time. We met at school. Bye. Hit that like button. Do you know what I mean? So I wanted to give you some like background. But yeah, it's just crazy. It's really hitting me this year in particular that we've been, because it's like literally half our lives. That's crazy. Like, every time I've been like, oh, to someone, oh yeah, I've got a boyfriend, been together 12 years, 13 years, whatever, and everyone's like, oh my god, because we are young to have been together that long. It's never really hit me that that's a long time, and now it's like half of our lives. I'm like, wow, yeah, that's crazy. Please do like this video if you enjoyed it, and if you'd like more story times from me. I don't know that I'm any good at it. Am I even entertaining when I tell stories? I don't know. Please let me know though if you do want more story times. I've got lots of stories to tell. And also subscribe if you aren't already, because I would love to hit 2,000 subscribers. Yay! I'm gonna go. I hope you're having a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!